Good evening. Welcome to New Vision TV News. I'm Lydia Lekonyero. We'll go straight to the headlines. Now, in our headlines today, President Museveni completes their 195-kilometer walk. New Vision TV reporters covered the walkers embarking on the final leg of the Africa Kwetu Great Trek. In employment, 2019 was a tough year for labor recruitment companies, and a bullet was recovered in AKENA'S body, a prosecution witness has revealed in the Kanyamunyu case. These and more in our full bulletin. A good evening once again. We are broadcasting live from the New Vision newsroom in Kampala, and we are keeping up with the Great Trek. Now, after an excruciating and hectic 195-kilometer journey through the hills and valleys of Chiboga, Mityana and Kakumiro, President Yoweri Museveni finally led the trekkers to Birembo. This was after the 6-day journey that started in Galamba in Wakiso district on Saturday. Now, the Galamba-Birembo portion nevertheless had some interesting elements, especially that of endurance, maneuver, concealment, even when there was risk of leakage and successful manipulation. Now, New Vision TV reporters have been following this story closely and now bring you the full detail. From the trek to court. Now, the High Court in Kampala today, a prosecution witness has revealed that a black bullet was recovered from the body of the late child activist, Kenneth Akena Watmon. Now, Michael Odeng and Barbara Kabahumuza were in court today and bring us the details of this sad story that is unfolding.
The man who testified under pseudonym Witness X for security purposes today told court presided over by Justice Stephen Mubiru that Akena died due to losing much blood as a result of the bullet that was found in his rectum. The witness said Akena was shot to the chest and the bullet caused internal bleeding, leading to his death. The bullet, measuring 11 by 4 millimeters, had a flat top. The witness who carried out the post-mortem said he removed the bullet and handed it over to the scene of crime officer Haruna Mugisha, attached to Ginger Road Police Station. The witness found that Akena died as a result of a hemorrhagic shock resulting from gunshot injuries. The witness was testifying under the guidance of Principal State Prosecutor Jonathan Mwanganya and State Attorney Anna Kiza. The witness was testifying in a case where Matthew Kanyamunyu, the Executive Director, Quantum Express Logistics, his girlfriend Cynthia Munyangwari, and brother Joseph Kanyamunyu are accused of killing Akena. Prosecution alleges that the AKENA'S and others still at large on November 12, 2016, along Kampala Ginger Road opposite Malika Bond, with malice aforethought caused the death of AKENA. Kanyamunyu is suspected to have shot AKENA in the stomach over the denting of his car. AKENA died a day after at Novik Hospital on Bombo Road. Meanwhile, Joseph, a businessman, a Crescent Natra, faces another charge of being an accessory to the murder of AKENA when he reportedly hid a pistol that Kanyamunyu allegedly used to shoot AKENA. The witness revealed there were surgical wounds which had been stretched in the deceased abdomen and that the entry gunshot wound is 5 millimeters in diameter. The deceased's breastbone was broken and bleeding, but the bone of the neck was no more. He found that there was bleeding on the muscle that separates the chest and abdomen. The witness said he carried out the post-mortem in the presence of police, relatives of the deceased, and other hospital staff, and handed over the report dated November 13, 2016 to police. However, the defense lawyers did not cross-examine the witness after Mnyangwari complained that the French translator was not interpreting well. This prompted the judge direct the registrar to look for another interpreter and adjourn the case to February 4, 2020. Prior to the testimony of an anonymous witness, the defense lawyers Evans Ocheng, Kale Balaka, and Macdusman Kabega cross-examined witness Robert Mutebi, 37, a former security guard at Nakasero Hospital. Mutebi confirmed to court that on the fateful day, a white Prado car came in the hospital and a man, name not disclosed, came out and went to Kanyamunyu, later handed over a pistol and a bag containing a laptop to him before he drove away. The witness said he was later summoned to Kira police station in Wakiso district to identify one of the men who could have picked the pistol from Kanyamunyu, but he failed because the suspects who were paraded had no shirts and were of the same size and color. However, police told him later that it was Joseph Kanyamunyu who picked the pistol. He also said doctors at Nakasero Hospital did emergency surgery on AKENA to stop the bleeding. The victim had a gunshot wound on the chest just below the rib cage. Prosecution had also declined the tendering in of the witness's police statement as evidence, saying some issues were contradictory. However, the judge allowed it to be tendered in, saying he will consider both testimonies. Some of the statements the witness stated were not captured in his police statement. Story compiled by Michael Deng and Barbara Kabahumza for New Vision TV.
Now, in spite of the current challenges of sugarcane farming among smallholder farmers in Busoga region and the country at large, the downward spiral in the price of sugarcane and apparent unending wrangles, the sugar industry in Uganda is alive and has great potential, provided that we address the most important issues and discourage the belief that short-term actions such as export of raw cane will have minimal and bring a solution to Uganda. The challenge that we have in Uganda's industry today is how the industry is organized, regulated, and managed for efficiency, scale, and sustainability in order to be competitive, excuse me, but also beneficial to both the local sugarcane farming communities and sugar millers. We must first disaggregate the industry and its value chain to determine both the areas of weakness and understand the areas of the greatest potential. The leaders in Busoga region now want the sugar factories to contribute towards infrastructure development. Charles Kakamwa is in Busoga and brings us this story.
The damage caused by trucks ferrying sugarcane to various sugar factories in Busoga has caused worry among leaders in the sub-region who now want the concerned authorities to intervene. The Chief Administrative Officer, Kaliro District, Fred Chizito Mukasa, said some vehicles are loaded beyond their recommended tonnage, a situation, he said, results in damage, especially of the road surface and culverts. He said whereas trucks are expected to carry about 12 tons of sugar cane, some are overloaded, while there are long vehicles and trailers with the capacity to carry up to 35 tons per trip. Mukasa said at a meeting in Cairo town, the heavily loaded trucks have greatly damaged the roads, implying that from now all roads need to be compacted if they are to contain the axle loading. Mukasa said on a single day about 200 sugarcane-loaded trucks are parked at Bwayuya village outside the Kaliro sugar factory along the road from Kaliro Town Council to Nawaikoke, which he said leaves it congested and some sections damaged. This, he said, has worsened the road situation in the district, leaving some impassable, yet they have insufficient funds to carry out routine maintenance works. The local Council 5 chairman, Wycliffe Ibanda, told New Vision TV that though the district leadership met Kaliro Sugar Factory management over the matter, no intervention has been made to date. He said when they met, they suggested to them the factory makes a contribution towards maintenance of the roads, especially in areas where their outgrowers operate as other sugar mills do. Uganda said in their interface, Kaliro Sugar Management raised the matter of a loan the factory was grappling with at the time, but was optimistic a later time they would have a positive response to the request. According to Uganda, sugarcane outgrowers in Kaliro is concentrated in the sub-counties of Namugongo, Bumanya, Kasokwe and Bwinda. Apart from damaging the road surface and blocking other road users, people in the business also tend to leave places where they load their vehicles from, littered with trash. In Kamuli district, the local Council 5 chairman Thomas Kategere has often complained about destruction of roads, particularly by trucks carrying sugarcane to Kamuli Sugar Factory, which is a few kilometers from Kamuli town on the Kamuli Jinja Road. Kakira Sugar Limited in Jinja district through Kakira Outgrowers Rural Development Fund supports communities within a 50-kilometer radius through a number of infrastructure developments, key among them being road rehabilitation. Others include access to financial services by farmers, improving community service delivery through education, health facilities, environment conservation through institutional and household energy-saving stoves, care and support for orphans and other vulnerable children, water and sanitation, among others. The Kakira Outgrowers Rural Development funding is realized by levying a small percentage on the produce supplied to the factory by outgrowers, which is then topped up by the Kakira Sugar Limited Company. Story by Charles Kakama for New Vision TV.
We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll have more stories. Now, the year 2019 was bitter for labor recruitment companies that have been exporting migrant workers to the Arab countries. Some of the directors have faced courts of law, while others have slept in detention centers, accused of abandoning migrant workers who have been working in the Middle East after they were also accused of violence and harassment. Now, Glorious Musime compiled the story and now brings us the details.
The tension was brought by some members of Parliament and State House Anti-Corruption Unit boss Lieutenant Colonel Edith Nakalema, who in a short time stormed companies after hearing complaints from victims and their relatives over mistreatment by their employers in the Middle East. Over the years, many people have been complaining about some companies which defraud people on promises to get them jobs in the Middle East, and after receiving money, they keep quiet, plus threatening them not to complain anywhere. There are currently 187 recruitment companies licensed by the Ministry of Labour, Gender and Social Development. A few have been complained about neglecting and mistreating migrant workers, and the ministry has been silent about it. The only known cases are those that come out in the media by victims recording audios and videos asking for help. Other companies have survived because some of the victims have no means to access social media. Stephen Kuremu was remanded to Maluku prison in Mbale for allegedly trafficking Nambereke to Oman, where she died under unclear circumstances. He allegedly took her through Lwakaka, a border known as a route used by traffickers to Kenya. A few cases have been solved. However, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mike Chibita, explained that when both parties sit and the traffickers agree to refund the money to the victim, the case stops there. That is why there are few cases where traffickers are prosecuted. Getting back to mainly United Arab Emirates, Jordan and Saudi Arabia, which recruits domestic workers, the situation is at times hard for some girls. Although Uganda signed a bilateral agreement with both countries, the contract seems not to be helping girls. Because Uganda has an embassy in Riyadh, capital of Saudi Arabia, Jordan uses the same, which is becoming hard to monitor all domestic workers in their respective homes. Although most complaints have been coming in from Saudi Arabia, Jordan and Oman, some victims have managed to return safe, others died from there. With Oman, there are about 4,000 Ugandans, according to Andrew Kameraho, chairman of the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies, saying Uganda is looking forward to signing an agreement with Oman to make sure girls are helped. New Vision TV discovered that girls are not taken through proper training by recruitment companies on what to expect in the houses, do's and don'ts at the workplace. Furthermore, companies have failed to monitor the houses where these domestic workers work, and they hardly know the environment of their work. New Vision TV also discovered that Arab companies subcontract Ugandan companies, which are becoming hard for Ugandan companies to monitor their workers. Girls have come out to complain on overworking, fewer meals, and violence by their bosses, which could be true, but as one digs deeper, some of the girls lodge fake complaints. We have learned that some of the audios recorded and shared on social media are not genuine, and it is sometimes hard to know someone with a genuine complaint. Some girls claim to be very sick, sexually harassed, and demand to be returned. Reaching Entebbe National Airport, they dodge medical examinations because, as a rule, each victim from the Middle East must go through medical checkup, but instead they refuse. If one also cross-examines these complaints after the deportation of victims, they find their way to other countries by a different company. It has been a blame game between the Ministry of Gender and the Uganda Association of External Recruitment Agencies on who should return migrant workers in the Middle East. In May, audio and video clips circulated by a group of girls who claimed were being mistreated in both Jordan and Saudi Arabia mentioned companies that ferried them. They had different stories but found each other at deportation centers in Riyadh but were finally deported back. A source from police anti-human trafficking desk explains why such cases are not successful, because police cannot investigate up to the countries where offences have been committed. Story compiled by Gloria Musime for New Vision TV.
And in a special report today, the African Kwetu trekkers made their final leg. The trekkers, led by President Yoweri Museveni, walked from Galamba, Bukatira, Masiriba War encampment sites, Kagogo, Ndiabweru, Butologo Hills, Kasambia, and ended at Birembo, which made a total of 195 kilometers. We have more on this story.
During the fifth day of the trek, President Yoweri Museveni reaffirmed his call to the youth to embrace what he believes are the four sectors key to the development of the country: agriculture, industry, services, and information communication technology. He particularly commended the Uganda People's Defense Forces for delivering the coffee seedlings to the local people under the Operation Wealth Creation Program. However, he said they need to give the people more pigs, cows, goats and fruits to enhance their incomes. Museveni said at Butorogo in Muwende district that agriculture is one sector where you can create wealth and jobs. This was the fifth speed sport of the historic march, which is in honor of Ugandan liberation heroes. Museveni also underlined the importance of the retracing of the Bourgeois route, saying the main pillars of their getting involved in the revolution back in the day were ideologies, discipline and preparation.
Ideology is like omusawo bwakebera omulwadde. When a doctor examines the patient and makes a diagnosis, and then after the diagnosis, he makes a prescription.
The president also scheduled a meeting with children of veterans, fallen NRA Bourgeois fighters and current serving soldiers next month in order to bond and propose several financial avenues, including promoting health tourism in various hilly areas where NRA fighters fought from to enable them to earn a living. On Tuesday, President Museveni made several stopovers on the foot trail in Buwende as he led walkers to the Butologo pit stop. He was received by a huge crowd in Kanyagoga village, including a group of NRM Youth Brigade. The president said, "I am happy to come here and meet you. Thank you for supporting NRM. I have seen that you planted a lot of maize." He outlined 6 points that are a basis for prosperity: to be God-fearing, peace, income generation, universal education, medicine and health facilities, and land issues. With land particularly being a pertinent issue in this area, Museveni said he would sort out issues involving evictions. After meeting the large crowd, the president carried on the steep foot trail up to the top of the Butologo hill. During the trek, General Eli Tumwine recalled the Kabamba attack. The trekkers every day have listened in on lectures by war veterans and flowing stories of their time in the bush. So far, speaker after speaker have recounted their experiences of the liberation struggle that saw Museveni take power in 1986. On a windy Wednesday morning at the top of Butologo Hills, Security Minister General Eli Tumwine was one of the speakers. Kicking off his delivery in characteristic song, Tumwine said the trekkers honoring the liberation heroes are lucky to be a part of this journey, as it is seen as another phase of the revolution. General Eli Tumwine recounted, "I saw President Museveni delivering another phase of our revolution, so we are lucky to be a part of this phase." Tumwine recounted his time in the bush, passionately talking of how he first met Museveni years before the Bush War in 1967, when the future Ugandan president was a primary 7 teacher. It was around this time that he got his first lesson from Museveni on family income when they were both guests at a friend's home. At the time, Museveni advised the head of the family to grow various food crops on quarter-acre pieces of land and also fence the land. He told the group that it was a landmark lesson for him. Later, in 1978, when Tumwine was teaching after completing high school, he could not resist the urge to join the revolutionary forces that he had heard that Museveni was leading. Eventually, he joined the Front for National Salvation. Tumwine, who says is writing a book detailing his experiences in the liberation struggle, talked of how he and other like-minded enthusiasts underwent ideological training in the lead-up to the actual fighting. Around that time, a lot of arguments emerged over the political happenings in the country. Many of the fighters were deliberately posted outside of Kampala. Tumwine was deployed in Masindi. When 6 of the colleagues were killed in cold blood for no reason, the episode set the war ball in motion. Everyone was allocated a specific task. Whenever you came across any gun or ammunition, you would take it, Tumwine recalled. They attacked Kasanda police station and got 3 guns. But while much of the focus was on collecting guns, the forces also had to be mindful of whom to share that information with. When Tumwine led an attack at Bukomero after receiving some guns from Libya, he was shot at in the eye. "At first, I thought I had lost my whole face," he said. With a blooded eye, his escort helped him to a house from where he rode him to single training wing on a bicycle with a punctured tire. What followed was a series of events that involved his team making a decision on whether to finish him off or carry him along. With the decision going his way, Tumwini was admitted at Mulago Hospital for an operation, but later had to flee for his life after 1 month after learning that he was being pursued. He was secretly evacuated from Mulago and admitted at Ruwaga Hospital, where he stayed for 2 weeks receiving medical care. It was from Ruwaga that he went back to the bush. Captain Sula Serinjoji, who was a key civilian veteran in the bush struggle, touched trekkers when he broke down and cried as he narrated the difficulties that NRA fighters faced as they looked for food around the war-torn villages.
Omwami Museveni tatuzanga lukiiko waffe ng'ateekateeka obuyekera buno.
We supported Museveni because of the problems we faced at the time. Etiare Serinjoji narrated, cautioning youth against playing with the current peace, security and stability that NRM brought to the country. Museveni singled out Cardinal Subuga as one of the people whose plantation served as haven for the NRA fighters. We used to get food from abandoned gardens or make arrangements for buying, Museveni said, underscoring the fact that at one time they raided Hoima and picked some money from defunct Uganda Commercial Bank, which they used to buy food.
We had attacked Hoima in June, and there was cash there, so we went and picked the cash from the bank, from the UCB.
Ministers Matia Kasaija, Esther Mbayo, Muruli Mukasa, Katumba Wamala, Judith Nabakuba, Godfrey Chiwenda and Peter Ogwang were present at the campsite. The trekkers spent yesterday night at Kasambia and will head to Birembo on Thursday for the final leg on the road to Kasambia. Museveni made various stopovers where he caught up with the veterans and other NRM supporters who had pitched camp in various trading centers.
Well, that was New Vision TV News. Thank you for watching. I'm Lydia Lakonyero. We'll leave you with the fact file.